Aloha, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to Trauma Recovery University. I'm your host, Athena Moberg, and with me in the green room is our amazing co-host, Bobby Parrish. We are trauma recovery coaches. If this is your very first time tuning into our broadcast, this is the last episode in season 1 of Trauma Recovery University. Next week, we will be in season 2, and our 1-year anniversary is on Wednesday, Bobby, or Thursday?
Thursday.
Thursday, the 27th.
Says my faultless calendar.
Bobby is the keeper of the dates. So if this is your first time tuning in, we want to welcome you. And I'm going to pause for just a moment, and I'm going to say a couple of special words for you that are tuning in and seeing us for the very first time. Occasionally, we get nasty grams from people that have never seen us before because this is a very serious topic. We love to talk to you, the adult survivor of childhood sexual abuse, who might be struggling in your recovery journey. You maybe just have been having memories for the very first time, or you are not plugged into a community of lived experience, like-minded other survivors that have lived through the hell that you have lived through. So if that is you, yes, Bobby and myself, we love to share our personality. We share our knowledge. We are here to educate you and communicate with you. This is an interactive broadcast, and it is live. We are here every Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And that is Tuesday morning at 2 a.m. in the UK. We have a very large UK following, and we want to just give you a very special welcome, and that is probably the longest beginning of our housekeeping items and announcements ever. But I've been reviewing all of our comments on YouTube and all of our emails, and about 95% of them are amazing, and you guys are gobbling up all the content. You're asking for more. You're being specific about the topics that you need help on. You're messaging us. You're getting plugged into communities. You're hiring us to be your own personal coach through your trauma recovery. Everything's going fantastic. And then every now and then we hit a little speed bump, and someone sends us an Instagram telling us that they need us to stop laughing and this is really painful, and why don't we just be quiet and just shut up and just show the content. And this is our channel, so you don't have to watch us. And this channel actually started as a project. We were just a couple of girls in a Twitter chat with another one of our very dear friends, Rachel Thompson. You can find her on Twitter, Rachel in the OC. She is also the owner of Bad Redhead Media. And she is the author of several award-winning and best-selling books for adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. To break the stigma, she started a Twitter chat in January of 2014. She wanted to open up a platform for child abuse or child sexual abuse survivors to come forward and do what she did, share her truth. And so Bobby and I met on this Twitter chat. I actually tweeted in the very beginning when they first started the chat in that first couple of weeks, and they tweeted me back, and they welcomed me in, and they invited me into a private secret Facebook group. And I was surrounded by dozens at the time of other survivors who had lived through what I had lived through. And it was life-changing. So if you are new to this channel and you do not have a safe community of other survivors, and you're hobbling along with crutches or a walker trying to convince your family that you're not crazy because you have a exaggerated startle reflex, or you can't stand the smell of cigarette smoke, or whiskey makes you sick. We have one of our community members where whiskey is one of her triggers. These are all things that happen very commonly to adult survivors of childhood violence, trauma, abuse, sexual abuse, manipulation, narcissistic abuse. And that is why Bobby and I are here every single week. So wrapping it all up, just want to welcome you. We love you guys. You are the reason we are here every single week. It's a year later, and we love you more than we did a year ago, and we are going to continue to show up. We've never missed an episode, and we listen to all of your suggestions. I'm finishing building our new website for you guys, for all of the subscribers. Our audience has more than quadrupled in size just in the last few months. So we love you. If you're tuning in on a podcast platform, this is not our normal welcome, but it is more of a long announcement for the beginning here. Hang in here with us. And we want to welcome you specifically if you're tuning in on iTunes or Spreaker or Stitcher or SoundCloud or iHeartRadio. And we want to invite you to interact with us live or go to our YouTube channel, which you can find by going to youtube.com/Trauma Recovery University TV or on any Roku device by searching for Trauma Recovery University. Again, I'm Athena Moberg, and I'm going to hand this over to my partner, Bobby Parrish, and then she's going to update us on things that are going on with our annual anthology, which is also a result of this project. And I'm going to go ahead and share after Bobby does all of her announcements. I'm going to show you our No More Shame November blog button that we have a lot of people using for sort of like a blog hop, where they're going to be sending in their stories. We're going to be promoting it to all of our audience all over the world. We're in 54 countries, and we want to invite you to send us any blog, any information, any of your links, any stories you want to share. And that's all happening during No More Shame November. But first, I want Bobby to go ahead and update us, talk about our virtual event coming up. She has an amazing sign that she made. And yeah, so without further ado, take it away, Bobby.
Hi, Athena. Hey, everybody. Wow, I do not look my best. I'm sorry, I don't feel well. I know Athena doesn't either, but we're here because we love y'all.
We're showing up regardless. We are showing up regardless. And you look beautiful. Be quiet. Oh. I mean, don't be quiet, but you know, you look beautiful.
You look beautiful. Okay. Shut up.
No. I'm going to be quiet now. I'm so sorry.
All right, you guys, this is the last week. You get to see my beautiful handy dandy sign. We have 300 signups, and we are so thrilled that Richard Grannon, the Spartan Life Coach, is going to be with us for the first hour. So this is our Surviving Narcissistic Abuse event. It is this Saturday from 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 2 until 6 Eastern Time. And I've had people, I'm in Australia. When is that? I need to just send out a link with a world time clock calculator or something.
I'll get you the link. I'll get you the link. I promise. I have one.
And it's in the UK, it's 7 to 11. But the poor woman in the Australia, in her time zone, it was going to be like at 4 o'clock in the morning. She said, I don't think I'll be there. But
if she signs up, she can get the replay.
Right. So that's why you need to go sign up. That's why you need to go get your name on the mailing list, is that you need to, because if you miss the event or you love the event and you want to see it again, we will be sending out a link so that you can access the replay. So please, please, please go sign up. We are madly preparing for the event. Bree Bonchet, Athena, myself, and the Spartan Life Coach all together, sharing with you information about what a narcissist is, how they operate. That's going to be so important because you need to know how they operate so that when they show up in your life, you know what they look like, how they operate, and how to stay away. We will be talking about what it's like to be in a relationship with a narcissist and the damage that that can cause, how to recover from the damage, and my favorite topic of the whole day, which will be inoculating yourself with the information you need to know so that you will never get in a relationship with another narcissist ever again. That's my favorite part. So come hang out with us. You will be able to live tweet us like you do here on our Monday Hangouts. And I'm thinking, Athena, is it Narc Abuse Chat? Is that the hashtag?
Is. It is. It's Narc Abuse Chat. And I wanted to add on to something you just said, Bobby. There is a button. If you go to narcdiaries.com, you guys, there's a button that says you can ask an anonymous question.
Yes.
I'm going to show you guys something really quick. I'm going to show you some emails that I've gotten because I'm so fancy like Bobby now. I receive an email, and just so you know how anonymous it is, you guys, I can't even respond to you guys. I don't know who you are. I can't respond to you. Bobby, can you see it?
Oops. Yes, I can.
Okay. So this is these are anonymous emails that I received from the website. And it's anonymous. I made sure I coded it that way on purpose. From your name. Guess what? I don't know your name. From your email. Guess what? I don't know your email. And then the subject. You get to fill in the subject, and then you get to write me questions. Does the other person on the other end of the abuse ever recover their energy and sense of self after they get out? I'm so exhausted and numb to any feelings, and I know this is not right.
Look at all those.
Yeah. Does a narcissistic person, are they ever aware of what they're doing to others? My husband seems to be dumbfounded when I call him out on his selfless ways. How different is a husband with narcissistic traits and a full-blown narcissist? I love my husband, but I am exhausted. I don't know whether he can really change. I need to make some choices in my life. And then this one is very, very, very long. This goes into great detail about horrific, horrific abuse involving children. I'm in the unusual position of being supported by the ex-husband of my ex-narc. Can you comment on tips for co-parenting and protecting your children from the parental alienation, triangulation, and emotional abuse? Thank you. And then, will there be a replay of this event for those unable to attend? I am hoping that you are able to, since I can't respond to any of these emails, I want you to know, yes, there will be a replay if you sign up. If you sign up, you get the replay. You get the link to the replay. It's going behind our paywall. It's going to be for our community members only, and it doesn't cost you anything to sign up. It's a free event, but you have to sign up. You don't just get it. It's not just going to stay out there in the interwebs, as they call it. So.
You know, as I'm sitting there reading those questions, Athena, I'm realizing we're going to be there for 4 hours and we're not going to answer all the questions. We're not going to get to it.
But I'm going to ask
Richard
Grannon. I'm going to ask Richard Grannon if he would answer some of the questions, even though I want him to share his expertise. Otherwise, we're just going to have to. I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll figure it out. All the questions that are going to come in, we are going to make sure we answer them in some way, shape, or form. It's just going to take us a while. So we appreciate your patience. This is our passion. We love to help adult survivors of abuse. That is what we like to do. That is our goal and our mission. Bobby, I know you used to work with children. Are you working with children anymore? I am not working with anyone under the age of probably pretty much 30. Like that's, I'm usually working with people over 30. Are you working with any children anymore, Bobby? Are you sticking with adults?
With kiddos via Skype. I wish I could. I adore working with children. I adore doing play therapy, but you can't do play therapy via Skype. So no, unfortunately. Yeah. You know what I was thinking? If people send us in questions that we can't answer, then the Facebook group, the Narc Diaries Facebook group is public, right?
It is.
We will, listen, if you send us a question and we don't get to it on the live event, we will go over to the Facebook group, Narc Diaries on Facebook, and we will answer them. It might take us about a week to get to all of them, but I promise you that we will post and answer those questions on the Facebook page.
Oh my gosh, Bobby. Yes, that sounds perfect. And that's facebook.com/Narc Diaries. Bobby, we just got, oh my gosh, am I reading this right? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have 39 more subscribers today for the narcissistic abuse event.
Wowzers.
I just got an email from MailChimp. We have 39 people who signed up today.
That's amazing.
No, 37 people signed up today, and then 2 the other day. But in an effort to full disclosure, one of them was me because I was testing to see if the widget would work. So
well, then you better show up, darn it.
I know, I better show up. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so 37 people today, 1 more the other day, the first day that I posted it. The site has only been up. Bobby, when did I put it up on Friday?
Yeah, I think so.
The Narc Diaries site, narcdiaries.com. I think I designed everything. As soon as Richard Grannon said yes, I like had the banner set with just the 3 of us, and I was like, okay, shrink everybody's head, move Richard in, let's move it on, okay. And then I was like, boom, it was up the same day, and I think that was Friday. So, this is a hot topic, you guys. There are a lot of people suffering out there from predators. There's no other
Well,
way to say it.
and for many of us, we have discovered as we have been working with sexual abuse survivors that many of them had a parent who was a narcissist. And so it's not like, and you've said this before, abuse comes in all flavors, and it usually comes in several flavors when it shows up at all. So for most of us, we haven't had just one kind of abuse. So it's not like, we don't want you to think that we're abandoning childhood abuse and moving over to something else. We're just bringing in something else that seems to be so prevalent amongst our peeps.
1,800 views, 1,800 views on our one YouTube video.
Yeah.
And it was all for narcissistic parents, adult survivors of narcissistic abuse as children. That is huge,
Yeah.
you guys. 1,800 hours.
Wow, that's a lot when you say it that way. Okay, so big week this week. Thursday is our birthday, first year, yay! Saturday is a live event.
I'm gonna bake you a cake.
Oh.
I'm gonna bake you I'm gonna bake us a birthday cake. I'm gonna take pictures of it and I'm gonna Skype you and we're gonna blow out the candles together. We're gonna have confetti for real.
Okay.
Sorry, keep talking.
And then next week, Athena, can we share what happens on September 2nd?
Yes, we actually can. I might cry. It's like a lifelong dream. Why don't you share, Bobby, so that I don't get all emotional? Will you share?
It's okay. Yes, I will share. It's okay for
You're
you to
such
get
a
emotional
wordsmith.
too.
You're an awesome wordsmith.
On September 2nd, next Wednesday, we get our temporary tax ID for being a nonprofit organization. So officially, as of September 2nd, Trauma Recovery University will be a nonprofit organization. And this is something that Athena and I have wanted since day one, but the process is so arduous. And we actually had an attorney who suffers from PTSD come to us and say, I will do this for you for nothing. And he has. And so September 2nd, 2015, we will be a nonprofit organization. And so we're so thrilled about that because we're hoping that it will bring in not only donations, but sponsors that will allow us to be able to provide more and more and more content for everyone. And one of our biggest desires are conferences for survivors, because that needs to happen. You guys have told us time and time again, you want to see one another in person. You want to be in community with others in person. So,
yeah,
big party next week. Huge party next week.
This like, I know this sounds super like overly dramatizing things or whatever, but it's that whole, this is the essence. What Bobby and I are talking about right now is the essence of work your butt off for years and don't stop, and that is how you become an overnight success. Like, we're gonna come out of nowhere and we're gonna be this like awesome nonprofit organization helping all these thousands of people in 54 countries. 54 countries?
54.
54 countries. So far, I haven't like looked on my little tweets map thing again, but anyway, but it's not like, it doesn't just happen like that, you guys. I mean, I can't tell you how many volunteer hours we have put in, because we're so passionate about changing the climate of the way care is administered. We want to change the topography, the way that it looks. If you were looking at a globe and there were little indicators of how care is administered to adult survivors of childhood abuse, it is lacking. There are so many hurting people in the world that there are not enough care providers to possibly care for them, care for each of them, and help them to know how special they are and that they matter and that their needs matter, which we touched on today during chat, which was very key.
Yes.
And in order for all of these people to get reached and to be supported and to feel valid in what it is that they're going through, there has to be multiple dozens, hundreds, thousands of lived experience communities popping up all over the globe. and there have to be facilitators, and there have to be people that come alongside so that it is like, I don't care what you think or what your opinion is about the 12-step model. If you're like, nobody needs 12 steps, it's just all you need is Jesus, it's one step. You know, I love Jesus. I love Jesus with all my heart, but I'm here to tell you that me loving Jesus my entire life and then getting plugged into a group of people who actually lived through the hell that I went through, and they're there in the flesh right in front of me, and they can cry with me, and they can pray with me and hug me and tell me that it's going to be okay. It's life changing. Whether it's a virtual community or it's an in-person community, I'm telling you, if you are struggling in your recovery and you're not plugged into a community of other survivors of abuse, I want to encourage you with every mama bear instinct in me and just with all the love I possibly can without driving you crazy and you just want to like shake the life out of me, like be quiet at the end, we've already heard it. But you guys, whether you like the 12-step model or not, you cannot refute its validity and its success and its, I mean, people's lives are changed forever when they go to those 12-step groups. People's lives are changed forever. They are able to remain sober, to stay away from gambling, to not overeat, to stay away from porn. They're able to do a 180 and turn their life around because of the essence of community. That one ingredient, the accountability and community of another person asking you how you're doing, whether it's virtually or in person. Right. So Bobby and
caring.
Yes, you guys, when was the last time you went to your psychiatrist, psychologist, or general practitioner and they were like, Bobby, how have you been? I have been thinking about you all week. And I just want to know how everything's going. Now, I know Brian's home now. Like, how is everything? I know you were coming down with a cold and like, so what's going on? How's your recovery going? How's your PTSD? When was the last time that happened, Bobby?
Well, I don't know because I don't have any health insurance, so I haven't been to the doctor in a long time. So
exactly.
It never happens for me. So
there's another reason, you guys.
Yeah.
We are going to be a real live 501c3 nonprofit organization, and part of our business model is huddles where people are actually able to, whether it's an online huddle or an in-person huddle, they're able to huddle together and just be like, hey, how's your week been? I only have 15 minutes. Okay, well, how's your week been? My week's been great too. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you next week. Awesome. Like, there needs to be a change in the climate of the way care is administered. And I'm not trying to like stand on a soapbox or be like a radical or some sort of a weird political person, but man, you guys, it is just irrefutable how much this is needed. I have like this fire lit in me, and I am just so excited that we actually get to be a part of the change that happens.
Yeah. Because we have realized that if things are going to change, if survivors are going to get what they need to recover, I mean, I love that people out there have therapists and they have psychiatrists that are good, but sometimes we need that help in between times. And if we had survivor groups like Alcoholics Anonymous has their groups, I mean, can you imagine if in your city you had 5 days a week, there was a drop-in group that you could go to that was facilitated by survivors who know their stuff and who are willing, to be leaders, where you could just meet with other survivors, be with people who care about you, be with people who know what it's like. And it could just, it could be the difference between a really hard, grinded out, gutted out recovery and a recovery that can be simpler, not easier, but simpler and quicker. Like Athena said, there simply are not enough trauma-informed therapists out there. There just aren't. And unless we start pouring them out of graduate schools like crazy, it's not going to happen. If we are going to heal, we need to step up and start healing ourselves. So that is really why we are so thrilled to move into the nonprofit status, because that is our goal, to make recovery resources available for every survivor who needs it, period. But it'll take us a bit of time. Took us about a
Yeah.
year to get the nonprofit. So, but now you know our goal. There you go.
It's not going to happen overnight, but at least you guys know our goals. Like, we literally have some lofty goals. And I just want to say to Kate right now, I'm tweeting you back. She says she has no idea when anyone's ever asked her how her recovery is going. Like, she doesn't have any idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't either. The only people that ask me how my recovery is going from childhood abuse are people that are in communities that we helped build.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I'm not saying that as like a boast or a brag, because by the grace of God, I get to sit here and do what I love for a living. Hopefully someday, if the fundraising efforts go through, hopefully. But I mean, it needs to happen, you guys. Like, it just needs to happen. It's so desperately needed. And even just one topic, like we do one topic every week, this one topic this morning of hypervigilance, we had people coming out of the woodwork that we had not seen in I don't know how long. It was like Old Home Week. It was awesome. And Bobby, you want to talk a little bit? Oh, I wanted to share our button. Do you want me to share our button a little bit later?
Share the button. Share the button. Absolutely.
So then I'll knock everything off of my list. So the last thing I had on my list before we jump into content, you guys, is No More Shame November. And last year's advocacy campaign was a great success. I was going to do a thunderclap and have all of a sudden it's this thing where you can have everyone's tweet go out at one time, like on the very moment, like you set it up ahead of time or something, and it's called a thunderclap because the whole world is tweeting something out like at one moment. But I didn't get a chance to do that, and I haven't set it up yet, but I'm thinking about it. So No More Shame November, what does that even mean? Well, like I was talking about earlier in this broadcast, the theme of Sex Abuse Chat quickly became no more shame because people were finally speaking their truth for the very first time in their lives. So we started doing hashtag no more shame, hashtag no more shame. And I believe it was Rachel or Bobby, I can't remember which one of them, said, it would be so awesome if we actually compiled everyone's stories into an anthology to see if people would actually want to share their stories publicly and publish the book. And out of nowhere, we had everybody sending in all these stories. I mean, we had an editing process, and it was a lot, Bobby. It was a lot.
It was
quite overwhelming.
Baptism by fire.
It was baptism by fire, but we did publish on the date we said we were going to publish, and we have not done the paperback book yet. But Bobby has been corresponding with our publisher because we got picked up by two publishers, but we chose Book Trope. And they're a hybrid publisher out of Seattle. And Bobby corresponds. She's the liaison with the publisher. And everything is, we have all of our submissions. If you want to be part of one of our annual anthologies, in fact, 2016, we're already receiving submissions. 2015's annual anthology will publish during No More Shame November. So we created this button, and everybody shared this button, and they put it on their blogs, and everybody changed it to their avatar picture on Twitter and Facebook on the day that our book published. And it was really amazing just to see the community coming together and to see how many survivors just wanted to support other survivors, and how many family members and loved ones of survivors just wanted to support the recovery journey that they were going through, and the boldness that it took to actually write their story down on paper and submit it to be published. So I'm going to show you guys, those of you who are part of our community and you're here every week and you're a part of our family and you already know us, you've already seen this button. But for those of you that are new, I want to welcome you, and I want to give you an opportunity to go to our website for the No More Shame Project. It's nomoreshameproject.com, and click on the tab that says Pinnables. Or I think you can click on the tab that says No More Shame November, hashtag No More Shame November. So I'm going to show you what our button looks like. And Bobby, can you see it?
Yes. Oops, and then I talked, so it went away. Sorry.
Okay. I don't know how to do the present to all fancy like you do, so I'm just going to continue to talk for a moment. Is it bigger now, or is it just the same?
Just the same.
Oh, okay. I made it big on my end. So, um, I support No More Shame November 2015. The hashtag is hashtag N like Nancy, M like Mary, S like Sam, N like Nancy, which stands for No More Shame November 15. Hashtag NMSN 15. Last year's was 14. And then as soon as No More Shame November is completed, right on December 1st, last year I had the button ready. I think it was right on December 1st. And we started talking about No More Shame November 2016. So we will be a nonprofit at that point. It will be part of our advocacy campaign. We are encouraging you to spread awareness regarding childhood sexual abuse. And especially for the survivors out there who have never used their voice, they've never spoken up, they've never shared their story, they have never even had the courage to speak up in their adult life, let alone be welcomed into a safe community of other survivors like you and I. So please, someone could see this ribbon, they could click on it for the first time ever, they could actually be welcomed into one of our safe communities for the first time ever, and their lives could be changed. They could be contemplating suicide because they just can't handle the memories. They think they're all alone, and then boom, they meet one of us, we welcome them in, their lives are changed forever, and you got to be a part of helping change and save other people's lives. So that's my plug for our button for No More Shame November. And I guess with that being said, Bobby, I know we have an awesome one page. Bobby composes all of the content for the one pages every single week, and then I format it and add all of our branding and our copyright materials. And you can find this one page downloadable resource at nomoreshameproject.com. Click on the tab that says downloadables, and you'll be given immediate access to this one page downloadable resource, which is located pretty close to the bottom, and it says Hypervigilance or child abuse survivors and hypervigilance one page. And you can follow along. You can print that out, add it to your recovery notebook, share it with a loved one you know, let them know that they're not alone. Did I leave anything out or forget anything, Bobby?
I don't think so. Now, starting next week, will we be ready to move over to Trauma Recovery University, or no, because next Monday is still in August. So next Monday's hangout will still be
Oh,
on the
oh my gosh, you're right. This isn't the last episode in season 1. We have a grand finale next Monday. It's our very last episode of season 1. And just so you guys know, hopefully you're seeing this and you're getting welcomed into our community before September 1st, 2015, because then you get to have everything for free forever and you never have to pay. Moving forward, after September 1st of 2015, we will be adding on our YouTube channel, there will be a little preview, like start here, make sure you watch this first so that you know that there are changes that are being made. The button's going to direct you somewhere else. We're going to make it very, very, very simple where everybody understands and everybody knows that they can just pay $5, download it one time, and if that's like the only thing they ever want from us forever, no worries, and then they're free to go. Or if they want to subscribe to our monthly subscription, they can click on the monthly choice, and it will just come out every month, and then they can cancel at any time. I mean, if they just want to be a member for 1 or 2 months, or they're like, why would I do that? I don't even want to do that. No problem. There's no obligation. You can totally cancel your subscription. So that's the monthly choice. And then there's the annual choice. And then you can click on that also. So that will be at traumarecoveryuniversity.com. And it should be done by September 1st, Bobby. But yeah, next week we'll still be at nomoreshameproject.com. Click on the tab that says downloadables. But typically, since this is called Trauma Recovery University, our website is called traumarecoveryuniversity.com. And we may be switching to a .org, but it will just redirect. It won't be like you guys have to remember anything.
No, we will make all magic behind the screen happen.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's some magic going on, you guys. You should. Bobby has inspired me. Bobby loves colors and bright things that are just beautiful. And she has all these beautiful images that are just inspiring. And she shared with me all these different websites that she gets these images from. Anyway, she's inspired me. She is the inspiration behind our new website design. So if you love it, then thank Bobby, because she inspired me to create something beautiful. And this may be the last website I ever build in my entire life. That's all I have to say, because it has been a labor of love.
Well,
blood, sweat, and tears.
yes. Let's talk content.
Yes.
We always
content.
840 content. Oh my goodness. So this morning we started our first of 3 Twitter chats. We do 3 Twitter chats a week. One of them Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and then this one that you're talking to us now on, it's a combination video Twitter chat. And then on Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, there is the 3rd Twitter chat, and the hashtag for that is Sex Abuse Chat if you'd like to join us. And we have the same topic throughout all 3 of our Twitter chats for the week. And this week it is hypervigilance. And hypervigilance is one of those, it is a hallmark sign of post-traumatic stress disorder. And post-traumatic stress disorder that you get for any reason, exposure to any trauma. I think it's most easy for people, most easy, is that right? I don't think that's grammatically correct. For people to understand hypervigilance when you put it under the framework of someone who has fought in a battle or a war. So they're out there, they're exposed to these constant loud noises, IEDs, gunfire, and they become hypervigilant, meaning they're always on edge, always watching, always evaluating the situation so that they can be safe. And honestly, that's what it takes to get through a war. That's necessary. But when you come back into normal society and you're still constantly on edge, constantly waiting for the guns to fire, the bombs to explode. Am I going to step on a mine? What am I going to do? How do I be prepared? How do I stay safe? That's when it becomes something that disrupts our lives. Hypervigilance, like many things, is kind of a coping technique that we develop as a child when we're undergoing abuse that we think will help us stay safe. Now, we have to remember that we were operating within a child's mind at that time. So even though we thought that by constantly evaluating the situation that we're into, is what's mom's mood like tonight? Is she going to be upset or is she okay? I haven't noticed if is dad drinking? If he's drinking, I might be in trouble. If he's not drinking, I might be okay. That constant surveillance, that living on the edge of fight or flight 24/7. We thought in our child's mind was going to keep us safe. But the reality was that it maybe could partially have kept us safe, but the abuse is usually so unpredictable and the pattern is so indeterminate that it didn't always work. And therefore, you have to be even more vigilant, right? Because if you try to be vigilant and it doesn't keep you safe, then you have to become even more vigilant and move into that hypervigilant. Hyper means over, hypo means under. So hypervigilant state. And that essentially means that everywhere you go, you are on the edge of, do I fight, flight? And for those of us who are survivors, we know the 3rd one, freeze. And if you're a survivor of narcissistic abuse, you know the 4th one, which is fawn. Okay? So we are ready 24/7 to defend ourselves, to hide, to take cover, to freeze, whatever it is that we need to do to stay safe. And this morning, people were talking about what that's like to live in that constant state of, like I said, living on the edge. It's like living on the razor's edge where you can never fall backwards, but you're ready to fall forwards into fight or flight at any time. It's exhausting, emotionally and physically, because remember, when you're on the edge of that fight or flight, you've got that slow bubble of adrenaline and other hormones coursing through your brain and getting ready to shoot into your body so that you can run, so that you can conserve your oxygen, run faster, run farther, lift heavy things. Everything that your body needs to do to protect itself, that's what those hormones are for. That's why they're starting to flood your body. And so you're living in this constant state of these hormones bubbling just a little bit, just like a simmer in your system. And our bodies are not meant to take that. They just aren't. We are meant to experience fight or flight chemicals intermittently. It's when they sit in our bodies on that constant simmer that they can actually start to do damage to our bodies. And that's when you get the brain damage, the autoimmune disorders that we've talked about on some other episodes. If you need some info on that, go look for the video on executive functioning. We talk in there about how that chemical sits in your brain and becomes a toxic soup and does damage to our brain. So we're not meant to function in that, and it does damage to us. It keeps us exhausted, and there's nothing more miserable than being exhausted and on edge. It's a horrible feeling. It really is. And this morning people talked about how that hypervigilance keeps them isolated because it requires so much energy, and it is so frightening to be out amongst crowds. Because when we're in a crowd, there are so many people, so many scenarios to have to run through our head, so many people to have to monitor, so many behaviors to have to watch, so many emotions to have to take a temperature for. Are people who are angry? Are they upset? What do I need to be prepared for? Which way do I need to run if something happens? It's exhausting. And so what do? Sometimes we choose to isolate, which is not good for us as survivors. Because when we isolate, then our shame can kick in even more, which causes us to isolate even more. And it's just a nasty self-perpetuating cycle. Those are the words I wanted. So we talked today, and people were so open and honest about how they were avoiding public transportation. There was so much of, I can't handle, the subway. I can barely even do buses. And some of us talked about, and I remember this because I do this too, some of us talk about how we grocery shop in the middle of the night. And I will grocery shop in the middle of the night because there are fewer people there. And most of the times it's me and the stock people, who are putting up the things on the shelves. And then there's one clerk up front. But other than that, it's me. And I don't have to be as much on edge because there aren't a bunch of people coming up next to me, bumping into me and everything. Large crowds, we keep ourselves from going. We keep our things from doing things that maybe once we found pleasurable, like going to a concert or an amusement park, a convention or a conference, a workshop that we would have loved to attend. But it's just so hard. And sometimes we just don't have it in us. So that takes a toll. It really does. When you are not living the life that you want to live, when you're sacrificing things that used to bring you pleasure, and when you are in that miserable place of being both exhausted and on edge, that's not much of a life. And so we understand if that's where you are. We understand how hard that is, how hard to cope. And we have some ideas and some coping strategies and some tips. So I'm going to put up the one page and we will go through that. And while I'm doing that, wow, that's a weird screen share. My computer wants me to share very odd things with you, like my battery level.
Oh, when it gives you the choice of like which screen do you want to share?
Yeah, it's like, no, you guys don't need to see the battery level on my computer. Thanks,
Oh,
though.
what were you going to say while you're pulling that up?
While I'm pulling this up, what are people saying? Are there comments or feedback that we need to address?
Oh, on our Twitter handle? I mean,
Yes.
on our hashtag?
Right.
I was actually just responding to a whole bunch of tweets. Let me just check it really quick. And for those of you that are you're new to this broadcast, we do a live Q&A every single Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And you can tweet your questions using the hashtag No More Shame, or you can just send us an email if that's easier for you. And it also gives us a log of what comes in. And our email is nomoreshameproject@gmail.com. So if you have a question about child abuse, specifically childhood sexual abuse, or perhaps it's narcissistic abuse, physical, emotional, financial, whatever it might be, please don't hesitate to send us an email and let us know, and we will answer your questions here live every week on Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Let's see.
And 2 a.m. in the UK.
2 a.m. in the UK on Tuesdays. Hey, while you pull that up, Beth and a couple of other people are having trouble accessing the downloadable resource for tonight. It's showing last week's, but not today's. That is so odd because I know I did it.
Okay.
I refreshed the page, but I'm going to go in behind the scenes and refresh it again.
Okay.
So if I'm missing, that's why. And
Okay.
you guys, I'm so sorry, beautifuls. Just look at Bobby's screen until I can get it up and going for you.
Yes, so she will work on that, and we will look at the one page, and you can look at my screen. Okay, so when we do a one page, we have two goals. Okay, we have three goals. One is to provide you with a synopsis of information on just one page. That's it. We don't want you to have to wade through 10 pages of some, scholarly journal article or anything. We want you to have a one-page resource, because we know what it's like when your executive functioning is falling apart and you just cannot go through, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of information before you can find what you need. So that's why we do just one page. And the second goal is to provide you with some education about the topic, because we truly believe that education about trauma recovery is just as important as being involved in community. And then the third thing that is our goal is to provide you with actionable tips and strategies that you can put into place today. Recovery is hard. Both Athena and I are trauma recovery are survivors ourselves. We know it's hard. I have spent more than a decade in recovery, and so has Athena. We've been there. We know how hard it is. We want to give you tips and strategies to help you feel better today. Not, well, if you do this, maybe 5 or 6 months from now, you might be feeling a little bit better. Nope, today. So let's go through the top part. A lot of this we've talked about. Hypervigilance is one of the hallmark symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. That's what I've been calling PTSD. I'm sorry, I should have spelled that out for you earlier. And it's typified by a constant state of threat detection. We're scanning our environment for threats, ready to move into fight or flight mode at the slightest perception that our safety is at risk. We are on edge 24/7. It's exhausting physically and emotionally.
Hey, Bobby. I just want to interject for just a moment.
Sure.
And let everyone know that is tuning in live that I just went and I fixed the little glitch behind the scenes, and I do sincerely apologize for the delay and the availability of that downloadable resource. But you can go to nomoreshameproject.com and click on the tab that says downloadables and page all the way down to the very bottom where it says child abuse survivors and hypervigilance one page. It was not you or anything you did. It was me, and it was the interwebs, as Bobby was saying. They have not been kind to me lately.
They have not been kind to Athena lately.
So I just wanted to let everybody know it's available now. My apologies.
Yay! Confetti. Okay. And the reason that we learn to become hypervigilant is because we constantly had to scan our environment for threats because we felt like, and sometimes it was true, if we could perceive, yes, if we could see that Dad was drinking, the best thing to do was to keep as far away from him as we could. But sometimes we thought if we could just perceive, I know I thought as a child, if I could just perceive the right emotional shift in my abuser that day, I would know whether or not he was going to come into my bedroom later that night. It didn't work, but as a child, in my child's mind, I thought that maybe I could do that. And remember, children's brains, magical thinking. So oftentimes that hypervigilance that we learned was inaccurate. We didn't need to be hypervigilant, but we didn't know that. We absolutely did not know that. Because of our hypervigilance, that was a tongue twister, hypervigilance, now as adults, sometimes we find social engagements and social situations challenging because they require so much processing of information. Oh my goodness, you know, there's 1,000 people there. That's 1,000 people I have to scan for their value, you know, whether or not they're going to be a threat to me. And this morning, for example, we talked about things like public transportation and grocery shopping, and sometimes it is just easier to avoid. And then hypervigilance can also lead to irritability because we're constantly on edge and emotionally exhausted, okay? There's that horrible place of being exhausted and yet on edge at the same time. And it is really, really hard not to be irritable when you feel that way. In fact, I think sometimes it's that too tired, overtired place that our kiddos come from when they have those temper tantrums when they're little. That kind of is the same kind of place that we get to. We're overtired, we're overstimulated, we're just too much, and we get irritable. And unfortunately, it affects our sleep because we aren't able to wind down. We aren't able to feel safe enough to wind down at night. And so our quality of sleep is lousy. And if you have not learned this yet, our lack of sleep is huge for survivors because, in fact, scientists have just recently done some studies that have shown that just one night of poor sleep increases the inflammation in your brain on a measurable level. So it's very important for us to get good rest, but by the same token, what's happened to us can prevent us from getting that good rest. So we'll talk a little bit about that here in the tips and strategies on how you can hopefully make that better for yourself. Okay, so use these tips and strategies to help with feelings of hypervigilance. And the first one is to learn deep, slow breathing techniques to de-escalate that fight or flight response. When we feel like we're about ready to go into fight or flight, or when we are in fight or flight, our body automatically starts breathing in a more shallow way. And that's because it's trying to preserve the oxygen in our bloodstream in case we have to run. But if we start breathing deeply, okay, so from your gut, not from your chest, from your gut, and slowly, that you're actually sending your brain the message that it can stand down, that there is no threat, and it's okay. That is one of, I tell you, deep, slow breathing is one of the best techniques that you can learn as someone who suffers from PTSD or anxiety. It will help you to send that message to your body to stand down, and there is no viable threat. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Tip number 2, learn general relaxation techniques, such as visualization and progressive muscle relaxation, to use whenever we feel ourselves becoming hypervigilant. whenever you start to feel that creep up in your awareness that you are becoming more actively hypervigilant than you are normally, start to put some of those techniques into play, and it will help you to calm down. It doesn't do the same thing as the deep, slow breathing, but it can help your whole body and you emotionally to feel better. This next one, talk through your perceived threats with someone safe. Sometimes the act of consciously pulling all of your subconscious behaviors into the light can help you reduce them or see that they aren't necessary any longer. We often carry so many things from our childhood into our adulthood, but we have to remember that we identified them when we were children and our brain had the magical thinking piece. So sometimes here we are as adults and we're hypervigilant and we're scanning the situation in front of us for A, B, C, and D, and we aren't really even aware of what A, B, C, and D are. And just to sit down with someone and say, okay, I just want to pull all this stuff out and unpack it. Okay, what am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for people who are drinking, because when I was a child, you know, as I've talked about tonight, if dad was drinking, I felt it was unsafe. Okay, well, how realistic is that? You know, it's okay to unpack those things and take them out and look at them and see if they really are signs of danger. Sometimes we don't even begin to know what our brain is processing until we take it all out and look at it, and then some of it we can let go and say, wow, I didn't even know I was doing that. Okay, don't need that anymore. And it might take a little progress. That wasn't the right word. Take a little practice for you to let go of that being a warning sign. But the more that you can let go of, the easier it will be to cope in situations. And this one is so important. When you feel your level of hypervigilance escalating, stop multitasking and focus on one task or situation at a time. Because sometimes the reason that we feel our hypervigilance escalating is because there are too many things that we're trying to pay attention to. Too many things, too many people, too many activities, too many emotions. So stop and scale back. Even if you have to remove yourself from a social situation for a while to refocus. Okay? Cut back to one thing. Turn off the TV, only read the book. You know, put the book down, only focus on the music. Whatever it is that is happening, try to bring it back down, pare it down to one thing, and then you will feel your hypervigilance begin to de-escalate. People talked about this one this morning in chat, and I think it's so valid. Take a safe person with you to social situations that you know will be stressful. Just having someone with us, I mean, it doesn't even have to be someone who said, I'll throw my life on the line for you when, you know, something terrible happens. Nope, just their presence of being there next to you can be enough to help you stay calm so that we don't become overwhelmed by the, you know, the social stimulation, all the people, all the noises, all the sounds, and the things that are flooding us. This next one is important too, and I want to pull this one apart a bit. It's okay to maintain the behaviors that help you feel safe, but at the same time, de-escalate the anxiety and the emotional threat levels. When I talk with people about hypervigilance, and we talked about this in chat this morning, many survivors talk about how they like to keep their back up against the wall. You know,
I do.
Yeah.
I not like all the time, like when I walk in my house, I put my back up against the wall. But if I'm in a public place, like if I get invited to a restaurant, I don't like it when my back is facing everyone. I like it if my back is facing a wall or where no one can touch me or walk up or startle me or surprise me. And you know, yeah, you're not alone if that's you guys. There's
No.
so many of us.
Yes. I know that in my undergrad and my grad school, I would always sit in the back row because I didn't want anybody to sit behind me. You don't have to stop doing that. You do not, being recovered does not mean that you have to stop doing those things. It means that they become a choice, not a necessity. And it means that you don't feel the escalation in your anxiety and your hypervigilance when that's not possible. Okay, so I can still choose to sit in the back row if I want to, but I can also choose to sit in a middle row. And when I choose to sit in a middle row, I'm not going to feel my skin crawling with anxiety because my hypervigilance is on full flare because I have to be watching 360 listening, watching always, always, always to make sure that I'm safe. So we're not telling you that you have to stop doing the behaviors that help you to feel safe. We're just helping you so that you can de-escalate that emotional anxiety and cut down on that emotional and physical exhaustion. That's what we don't want for you. We're not at all telling you that you have to let go of the things that help you to feel safe. And this is the one for sleep. Establish a nighttime routine that involves relaxation and decompression so that you can slowly unwind as you prepare to sleep.
With that being said, I wanted to say hi to Sarah because she tweeted that she can't sleep. She says her sleep is rubbish. She's our friend in the UK. It's rubbish. Her sleep is rubbish. We love you, Sarah. We hope you get to sleep tonight.
And yeah, boy, can we identify with that one.
Oh yeah, I have not been sleeping good at all. That's why I have a cough.
It's really important that you establish that routine because routines train our brains. Routines train your brain so that when you begin to move into an established routine, your brain already knows where it's going to go. So if you establish that nighttime routine, okay, first I'm going to take a shower, then I'm going to have a cup of tea, then I'm going to read for 20 minutes while I'm playing some soft music, and then I'm going to climb into bed. The TV's not going to be on, my phone's not going to be at my side. If you do that, and you do that consistently, eventually, as soon as you step into that shower, your brain is going to start to de-escalate and settle down. It's that going from 200% climb into bed and think somehow that we'll magically be able to automatically fall asleep. That doesn't happen. We can't be completely on and then automatically shut everything completely off. It just doesn't happen. Not to mention the fact that for many of us, our abuse happened at night and we have that extra triggery stuff that goes on in the nighttime, which means that that nighttime routine is even more important for us in terms of de-escalating. And as you learn techniques that help you reduce your hypervigilance, slowly re-engage in social activities. Start with small, less threatening situations. And as you gain more control over your hypervigilance, engage in more and larger social situations if that gives you pleasure. It is okay if you want to say, you know what, for the rest of my life, I'm not going to a gathering that has more than 100 people because it gives me no pleasure. Either when I'm not hypervigilant, I don't like it. That's fine. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to do that and you don't because of your hypervigilance, work towards that as a goal. And eventually, as you claim more power over that hypervigilance, you will be able to begin doing those things that once brought you pleasure. And our pro tip, use your membership in a safe, supportive community of survivors to practice new strategies, to talk about the things that you're struggling with, and to get support from people who know and understand what it's like to deal with these things that we deal with on a daily basis, like hypervigilance. Dum, dum, dum.
Dun, dun. Brian Cuban just retweeted us again.
Oh, yeah.
I love it when Brian supports us. It means a lot because I know he has such a huge following. And if you guys aren't following Brian Cuban on Twitter, follow him. It's at bcuban. He is a best-selling author, keynote speaker. He speaks on eating disorders, addiction, depression, courage, recovery. Or you can find him on Cyberdust at bcuban. He's an awesome person to follow. He is a wealth of knowledge, and
he's a nice guy.
He's a really nice guy. I was actually 30 minutes late to our meeting, and he bought my coffee. I was like almost in tears. I felt so terrible, but yeah. If you're not following Brian, you definitely should be following him. He's a wealth of knowledge, you guys.
And he posts pictures of his dogs.
He does. He has the cutest little dog. I believe he has a therapy dog. I think it's a therapy dog. And
I thought he had a couple of dogs.
Yeah. I only remember one.
Oh.
I can't, but he might have more than one, and I just don't know. But
or I'm making it up.
Or it could just be a lot of pictures of one dog. I'm not sure. I'm having hair issues, you guys. Before we go, I just wanted to thank you guys for sticking around. I realize we're a couple minutes over tonight, and I want to encourage you to, as always, share these videos with your friends. The bulk of the views that we get on our YouTube channel, unfortunately and fortunately, come within the first 24 hours. And then as my assistant goes in and she downloads and she does all the annotations, and she's getting ready to add intros and outros, and that's going to be in season 2. But then we start back over to 0. So, so share our videos with your friends. And if you liked this video and it's been helpful for you, please hit the like button, leave us a comment below, say hello. If your comment gets deleted because you left it within the first 24 hours of the video, we apologize. You can always send us an email if we didn't answer your comment, and that's at nomoreshameproject@gmail.com. We normally, at this point in our broadcast, bring up all of our pages to let you know how to connect with us, but we really spent a lot of time during this video letting you know how to connect with us. Please go to facebook.com/Bobby Parrish, or go to facebook.com/Dawn Athena Moberg. That's DAWN Athena Moberg, and friend us on Facebook. And if you're interested in being invited into one of our safe groups for adult survivors of child abuse, then please, we have a co-ed group, we have a female-only group, and hopefully moving forward into season 2, we'll have a men's group, if that is something.
You're working on that one.
We are, because you guys have told us that it's really important that there's more male support out there for male survivors. So thank you for being an integral part of our broadcast by tweeting your questions live 6 p.m. on Mondays from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and that's Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern, using the hashtag #NoMoreShame. I'm your host, Athena Moberg, and along with my amazing partner, Bobby Parrish, we do our best to provide you with everything you need for healthy, informed trauma recovery every week. So until next week, Bobby, what's our topic next week?
We haven't said it yet.
Okay. Well, we're not sure what the topic is on our editorial calendar yet. I know that we have some requests on different topics.
We have requests. I just haven't had a chance to talk to you to.
I know, right?
What we want to do our very last episode.
Our last episode of season 1.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like it's not bittersweet because, like, hello, we've come so far. It's amazing, but like, gosh, I feel it's awesome that we've grown so much. Maybe we could do like a recap or something next week, like for half the episode or something. I don't know.
Yes. If only we had like a blooper reel.
Ooh, I can make that. I can make that happen. Thanks for the encouragement. That would be super fun. Okay. We might have a blooper reel for you guys, and that's what we'll probably name it on the YouTube channel, is blooper reel. But lots of exciting things happening at Trauma Recovery University. Stay tuned and keep tuning back here to this YouTube channel to find out more about Trauma Recovery Ministries, which will be the faith-based sort of division of or umbrella over Trauma Recovery University. And as always, Bobby Parrish and myself, Athena Moberg, we love you guys. You're the reason we show up every single week. And send us your questions to nomoreshameproject@gmail.com. And until next week, we hope that you have an excellent rest of your week. Please practice excellent self-care, as these videos and this chat can be very triggering. Aloha, everyone.